and welcome back to Vibrant Story Studios VSS Podcast. It's your host Kyle. I'm here today in Cooper's bedroom.
We're actually, we'll call my bedroom. It's complicated, but
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
yeah, okay. We're in my roommate's William's bedroom in our lavish estate of our apartment that we live in. I cannot words today. It's your best friend Cooper here alongside Kyle, like as he said earlier, and our best friend Timmy.
Yeah, I was quiet until just now, just in case you thought I wouldn't be in something. Nope, still not happened.
Yep, no, Tim has been in everything.
Tim will be in everything. And then we have my dearest friend and our / guest in that order, William.
Hello, everyone.
We are recording off of a cardboard box.
And sitting on a carpeted floor because, all right, let's just quickly abbreviate what we've done today.
Yes, it's been a very interesting day.
Kyle and I got out of class. Well, I waited for a bit, and then we came directly to Cooper's because he needed help moving the washer and dryer. So we helped him and his fabulous roommate out, and then we were like, we're gonna just go ahead and record this here so that we do two things at once. And
We nearly died. The washing machine nearly took us, all of us.
No, he didn't.
that
It's
didn't
okay.
happen at
You.
all.
I feel like that's an overstatement.
I
feel like you almost died.
I almost died.
I'm
I
trying
was
to.
slipping.
The whole point is I'm trying to tell them while we're on the floor next to a cardboard box. And the reason for that is the main room was too reverby.
It was too big.
There was too much open space, which is very nice for when you're looking for an apartment to live in, but not when you're trying to record in it.
Yeah, you very much want small carpet.
Small, contained area.
Yeah.
Like right
Yeah,
here.
this
In
bed is just absorbing so much sound.
This bed, the carpet, we can use our NPR voices, and it'll be just fine.
Our NPR voices.
I like
yes,
to
our
talk with
NPR
just
voices.
the bass of my voice. It makes things much more interesting. Hello and welcome to the Quiet Hour. We're in a nursery at 3 a.m. We're not allowed to be here right now, and if we're any louder than this, we will get killed by security.
Why the fuck did you invite me?
I love it.
You're literally the worst person here. Why are we here, dude?
It just reminds me of Quiet Library. Have you guys ever seen that? Have you ever seen? No, I'm sorry, Silent Library. Have you guys ever seen that?
Well, if we're doing voices,
I remember Silent
this
Library.
one.
Is that show on MTV?
Yes, Silent Library.
Silent Library, huh?
You ever seen Silent Library? All right.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. This one we're playing a little fast and loose, but we have a theme for this one. It is music.
I feel like none of us are gonna have anything for this, but we're gonna go with it anyway.
I could probably get something.
We can at least talk about music that we like. If all else fails, I got a story for this, but I'm not gonna go first. So anyone around the cardboard box wants to elaborate?
I feel like we should make this a real thing. Around the cardboard box.
Don't clap.
But no, it was
We're not syncing video.
I think it's a good idea though. We should around the cardboard box. I like it.
Should that be the podcast name? Vote in the description below.
Around the
Well,
carpet.
we gotta then when you start it though, it would have to be in camera because then they'll be like, "Where's the cardboard
Yeah.
box?"
Huh?
No, we just take a picture of the cardboard box and put it in the thumbnail of every video.
Like a Where's Waldo? Find the cardboard box.
It was
Or,
just-
I don't know, like have an arrow, kind of like an arrow around the Earth, but the Earth would be the cardboard
Stop
box.
touching the cardboard
Around.
box!
Whoops,
I'll do it. I'll touch it.
you won't.
What is it? What is it labeled?
Movie.
More random shit.
Well, yeah, movie.
Alternate title: More random shit podcast.
More random shit podcasts. Both work. Anyway.
Okay. You know what? I'll go first. I'll start with kind of a story. It's more of a cool experience I had. If you know me at all, you know I like Rooster Teeth, and you know
That is very well known.
if you are in
To the people who know him.
To the
to the
people
people who know him,
To the
or
people who
just
know him.
see me on campus
Mhm.
regularly and see that most of my shirts are Rooster Teeth.
It's a fact everyone was born with. They're like, my name is George, and Timmy likes Rooster Teeth.
Before they were even a thing. Before Tim even knew that he liked Rooster Teeth, he just knew.
Like he liked Rooster
That
Teeth.
he liked Rooster
When
Teeth.
I was born
He was
in
very
19
confused.
When I was born in 1997, before Rooster Teeth even existed, people knew I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Before Rooster Teeth even started.
Before Rooster Teeth was started, before it was even called Rooster Teeth. But okay, this is
Anyway,
beside
whatever.
the point.
Beside the point, we have gotten off topic.
I've been to RTX a couple of times, and this past not this summer, but this past summer in 2018, I went for my first time as a guest. This most recent time I was at a Guardian, and if you ever get a chance to go to RTX as a Guardian, it is a wonderful experience. Jeff Williams and Casey Lou Williams, they do the soundtrack for RWBY, do a concert. They didn't do it this most recent summer, otherwise I would have gone, because it was amazing in 2018. They do a bunch of songs from RWBY, of course. And they also do a few songs from Red vs. Blue.
Mhm.
So,
Red vs. Blue has some phenomenal sound. Phenomenal
podcast.
Fantastic. They have some fantastic songs. I can't speak today. They have some fantastic songs. The Red vs. Blue soundtrack is phenomenal.
Contact is probably my favorite.
Oh, it's so good.
But regardless, that live show is amazing because it's Jeff Williams' freelance orchestra. So it's like half orchestra and mostly rock.
Mhm.
And they get like local artists to participate too, to do some stuff. And they're like, they find them like that week and they learn the songs that fast. And it's just amazing. And it's in this like smaller theater. I forget the name of the theater, but if you know downtown Austin, you know what? There's a ton of small theaters in downtown Austin, but you know
One of them.
It's one of them. You know the vibe of a small theater like that.
Yeah.
It has a mezzanine. That's where I sat because I don't like standing for long periods of time crammed next to people. So
Understand?
I'm not a floor person.
No, yeah, you have to be a specific person to be a floor person.
I'm just like, all right, it's been 20 minutes. Stop touching me. And I love human contact. Human contact for me is like the best thing ever. But there's a limit, especially with strangers. No thanks. But regardless, that concert was absolutely amazing. They were very much the kind of people who's just like, we're going to show up 25 minutes late and then run an extra hour. I love it. Everything's different. And the people, like the audience is amazing too because it's the Rooster Teeth community.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole floor was just like singing random songs before it. It was the best. But that's about as good of a story as I have music related because I am not musically inclined at all, so I don't participate in the music. I just enjoy it. And I have not been to many concerts or have anything happen at a concert, so I just really wanted to talk about that because that's like the coolest concert experience I had. So I guess I'll pass it on to anybody else who has a story, and then after we may, maybe just talk about the type of music we like.
Yeah.
See where the conversation goes.
Fun side note, Tim is responsible for doing the playlists for our Dungeons & Dragons campaign that we run. And let me just say that Tim keeps finding the best songs that I've never heard of. And they're amazing. And like, there are 4 to 5 lines in each song that perfectly mimic the character's experiences. I don't know how he does it.
I'm on volume 5 right now, just to say, and each one has like at least 20 songs in it.
Yeah, it is insane how many songs he finds that fit. Like, I try, and I don't find anything. Mostly because I keep, like, doing, stupid Ramon songs, or, like, these... I keep finding... Me and Tim have very different tastes in music. I like really old stuff, and when I say really old stuff, I will listen to...
Swing.
I'll listen to swing, but no, I'll find songs in, like, Gaelic. Like, Irish
Some pretty good
Gaelic
songs.
singing songs, or drinking songs, or sea shanties. And that's what I listen to.
I love sea shanties.
They're great.
I'm waiting to find a moment, and you can never find one, where you can get a large group of people together to do a sea shanty properly. You need a saw like 20 people though
Yeah.
to actually do one effectively.
I really want to be a part of a flash mob where they just start singing sea shanties in a.
You have a hard time with
Those
I have a hard
don't
time with
sound
S's.
like they go together.
Flash
Sea
mob.
shanties and flash mobs.
that. You just pop out, all of a sudden we're
Like,
singing
trying to
What
Ru-
will you do with a drunken sailor? What will you do with a drunken
randomly in
sailor?
Times Square. It's like,
Like
what?
4,000 people singing drunken
Now we
sailor.
are ready to head to the horn. Way, hey, roll and go.
I know all these thanks to Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Dude,
Yeah,
yes.
that's fantastic. But anyway, Tim is responsible for our Dungeons and Dragons playlist, and
Well, see, you find good songs, but you're just from your perspective, you're just like you find good songs as like this would be a good soundtrack. I
Yes.
go at it from the perspective, what would be the coolest AMV?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm the dungeon master for our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but
Pathfinder, technically.
it's Pathfinder. It's essentially
Basically, it's
Pathfinder is Dungeons and Dragons with more customization. That's how I look at
It's
it.
got like 14,000 DLCs that they just tacked on for free.
Yeah,
That's the best way to
yeah, it is. It's all online. It's fantastic. I love it. But I have to find the soundtracks and the boss battle music and the ambient noise and stuff. So my YouTube recommendation lists are interesting to say the least. But anyway, that's my little side note thing. You learned a few things there. We do Dungeons and Dragons. Tim is fantastic at finding AMV music, and I have weird music choices. But anyway, next story. Someone.
Well, all right. I have only been to, I want to say 2 concerts before. First one was Bass Nectar New Year's Eve in 2013.
Nice.
That sounds like a fun one,
That,
honestly.
that actually does sound really fun.
I was with my best friend Locke, and
Back in high school.
yep, Locke and Gabe, that was his name. We were there for about 2.5 hours, which it was fun for about, I want to say an hour. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, I kind of want to never listen to dubstep again. But it was still really fun, and it was a great concert. The second one I went to was 2 years ago in July. I don't know why I didn't look it up earlier this year. But it was this festival that one of my coworkers told me about nearby our workplace at the time, which it was Elliston Place Street Festival. They had a whole bunch of people over there, but there was this one group that apparently has been around for a while, and they just recently got back together. Listened to their music and thought it was the most impressive out of everyone, including their big headliner. I can't remember who their headliner was. But the group I listened to was the Pink Spiders. They were this punk rock band.
They are really good.
Yeah. They are this punk rock band that kind of reminds me of, those early 90s kind of grunge, stuff. And when they were playing live, it was just awesome. When they were done with one song, literally 2 or 3 seconds went by. They just went right to the next one, like intense as hell, playing these songs. It was just fantastic. But those were the only concert experiences I've had, and I'm going to go see the Black Keys later this year. I've been really looking forward to that.
Did you manage to get to talk to the Pink Spiders afterwards, or
I
were
didn't,
they just...
but I'd love to see them live if I ever get the chance to. So I know they're on tour a lot. So
They are on tour a lot, but they do come through Tennessee. They do come through Tennessee sometimes. So they are really good, though. I actually listened to a recording of them. One of my professors actually gave me a recording of them, and I managed to listen to like 2 or 3 of their songs. It was literally a bootleg version. Like, he recorded on his phone, just held it up in the air, recorded it because he didn't have his recording equipment, and this was the only time he was going to see him. So he was like, I gotta have something. Pulled out his phone, started recording it. But yeah, he gave me a version of it, and they were really good. They were really good. I can't say who they remind me of.
So when somebody described it to me when I went over there, they were like, it kind of reminds me of Weezer. It's like, how does it? I was like, how does it remind you of Weezer? Like, I mean, they're alternative more than punk or grunge, Anyway, I would say probably closer to. I mean, not on the level of Clash or maybe even the Sex Pistols.
I was gonna say, like, they kind of do remind me of, like, maybe late Sex Pistols.
Okay.
Maybe later Sex Pistols before what was his name? Damn, I'm coming up blank here, but later Sex Pistols when one of that member, like that one, was it the drummer or was it the lead guitarist that died?
I actually.
So if
I need to look into them.
Yeah, you should.
You guys keep talking. I'll Google.
But If you guys want a recommendation on an album to listen to Teenage Graffiti by the Pink Spiders. That whole album is just fantastic. I think it's actually came out in 2003. It's that old, but it still holds up pretty well to me. So
Have they released a new album?
I think they have. I feel like they have.
All right. So the answer to your question, it was in 1979. The bassist Sid Vicious died.
Oh,
That's
that's
what
way
it was.
off. That was
Yeah.
way off. Yeah, they did change. They did change a little bit after that, and they couldn't keep up the fast tempos because they never got a good replacement basser. The guy they did get to replace him was all right.
Well,
He
I
just
mean,
had to catch up because
It's not that whenever an artist dies,
it throws
it's
off
not-
the group.
it throws off the group because it's somebody that they knew who passed
Mhm.
away, so it's going to affect them all differently.
And plus, it's punk, and like a lot of the punk stuff is really personal and
Well, also
Really,
everyone's their own artist. Everyone plays
To their own
like
style.
themselves.
to their own styles. Yeah.
So, it's just whenever an artist goes, they take their art with them, and you
Mhm.
can't replace it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
So
absolutely
you
not.
can adapt and you can move on, but like it's not a replacement. It's just moving. on.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I don't really have much in terms of overall concert experience. There is Live on the Green, which happens up in Nashville every
Oh, yeah.
August. No, so I've only been like once. It was a couple of years ago, and Cage the Elephant and a bunch of other people were there, and it was wonderful. It really, if you can go to Live on the Green, I highly recommend it because it's a free concert. You
Mhm.
you roll up and you just exist and listen to music
Mm-hmm.
and do all this stuff, and it's like the coolest thing ever. And when I went, it was myself and like 5 other people, and we all got a bunch of glow sticks and strapped them onto each other, and we had like glow stick outfits. And we actually, it was funny because someone posted a picture of us on social media. They were like, "Look at these cool cats." And it was actually the coolest thing. But I always want to go every year, but I never can because I either work or I forget about it. And I just need to go again. And I was like looking at it, and I was listening to advertisements. I was driving home from work, and I was like, "Yeah, check out Live at the Green. We blah blah blah." And I'm like, I work that day. I can't go because it's only on the weekends, like the Renaissance Festival. It's like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or
Yeah.
Thursday through Saturday.
But the last time you went, you got to see Cage the Elephants. Didn't
I
you?
did get to see
Cage
Cage
the
the Elephant.
Elephants is awesome.
Cage the Elephant is awesome. The last, aside from that, which I mean, that's like I wouldn't say that's going to a concert. That's going to an event that has music.
You get to hear
You
music.
get to hear music.
it's
The last time I like went to like a concert, the one you have to like pay for, it's a stadium or an arena or something, was I went to go see Coldplay
Nice.
a long time ago, and my dad's in the music business, so he can pull some strings with. We had 7th row seats. We were like right next to the stage, so you could see the band clearly. It was a great concert. It really was. I loved it. And Coldplay, they're still my favorite. Not as much so, but like back then, that was like the greatest thing.
Oh yeah, Coldplay
like-
just took over the world in the late thousands.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was like just the greatest thing to witness, and like, what was it? I don't know, 2009, or whenever that was. But it was like it really was just a memorable show. I mean, it's not like they did anything over the top or anything. It's just being there.
Yeah.
You know, when you're that close to like such like a well-known and super popular band, and they're just spitting out all their hits.
Mhm.
Oh, it's just wonderful. It's just
It's-
fantastic.
It is a fun experience. You mentioned it, and this is kind of like my aside to that,
Mhm.
because you've only ever been to like one like concert.
Concert. Neither one
Yeah.
like we.
See, I think I've been to a very low number of concerts compared to a lot of people, and apparently I've been more than you, because I've been to that Jeff Williams concert.
Yeah.
I've seen Selena Gomez twice.
She puts on a pretty extravagant show.
Oh yeah, and like covers rock songs too. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And then I've seen Taylor Swift once.
Again,
Which was
really
a
extravagant.
fantastic show. The
Really
production
extravagant.
value.
Ugh.
They used the entire football stadium.
It
Wow.
was insane.
And then other than those 4, there's the first concert that I ever went to, which was the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Ooh.
If you want a show,
Was that
Hey man,
Christmas time?
orchestras
Uh-huh.
pull out all the stops
It's-
nowadays.
It's Trans-Siberian Orchestra. If you, Nutcracker it's Nutcracker, but it's Nutrocker, and it's amazing. I know why you're laughing.
Yeah.
Actually, I was imagining like some walnuts in a rocking chair.
Speaking of orchestras, there's a series of videos done by the Danish Symphonic Orchestra. They do movie soundtracks as an orchestra piece and orchestra productions, and they post them on YouTube. And they recently started to do video game soundtracks. Actually,
Really?
yeah, I think they've done Halo, and they've done I think they've done the classics. Like they did a montage collection, and I think it had Undertale, Mario. Undertale, yeah.
Undertale's got some pretty funky music.
Undertale's became really popular, like video game symphonic orchestras. Like there's tons of them on YouTube that just do Undertale music, and it's really interesting.
I mean, Undertale's got a very interesting
It's also
music
does.
style to it. so-
catchy. It's got
Yeah.
it's got a good following.
Mhm.
So anything they do, they know will sell.
Mhm.
It's the same reason, and Kyle didn't know this existed until recently. That there's so many versions of Bad Apple. It's because it's catchy.
Yeah, I recently discovered Bad Apple.
There's a metal version that he found that kind of
It kind of works for some of the villains in our campaign that I'm.
yeah
Yeah. So,
yeah, but
but anyway,
yeah, continue.
but Undertale is great for symphonic music orchestras because Undertale is commentary on video games in general.
Yeah.
It's commentary on video games in general, the themes and like the mechanics of video games as well. It's I don't know. It's kind of like a major. It's like if a video game was like the difference between a novel and a book that will last ages. You know, it's like the difference between Shakespeare and other plays.
Yeah.
I think that's how you can compare Undertale, the video game, to other video games.
There's plenty of timeless video games, though.
There are plenty of timeless video games like Doom.
Doom.
Doom, it's not anything special, but it was the first to do what it did.
Yeah.
It set the standard,
And they came out with the Chex Man.
and they came up with the Chex Man. Another really, we're getting off topic. I'm sorry. It's easy
still
for us
music.
to. It's still music. It's still music. The Doom soundtrack is
The older to new one.
it's
Both, actually.
The
Yeah.
both. Oh, honestly.
Have you guys ever played Killing Floor 2?
I have not.
I've heard it.
I had it on PlayStation.
Wait, I briefly played it with you and somebody else.
Yeah, most likely.
Probably
That
Michael.
probably. That it's essentially it's a zombie killing game, but you do it in waves and you have a final
Yeah.
boss at the end.
Yeah, it was
Um,
with you and Michael. I remember now.
But I love it because has a metal soundtrack and it's like from just these up and like bands no one knows about and all that stuff.
yeah.
So and it's honest, like it's really good. Like it's background noise. You don't pay attention to it that much, but like when you do listen to it, it's like it just fits so perfectly and it's so well done. And I love it, and it's great when they can bring in not super popular people
Well,
to do things like that.
that's the tell of a good soundtrack is when you don't notice it. Like if you
Yeah.
take the time to notice, you're like, holy shit, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
But if you're just like in the moment playing the game or watching the movie or the show, and you don't notice the soundtrack, that's good
Yeah,
because then it matches so perfectly.
to the mood.
It's part of drawing you into the
Yeah.
story
Mhm.
and just the situation and the environment. So that's the purpose of a soundtrack, is to not be noticed, but when noticed, people go, wow.
That actually brings up a really good point of mine. One of the best video game soundtracks I've ever listened to was actually from a little Nintendo DS game called Bravely Default. I think you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
So the music actually directly affects the game. So each character has a specific theme, and like you can hear this theme whenever you activate the character's super. Like each character has like a specific theme that lasts for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But while that time is playing, they get a buff. Like they start the attack, that starts the music. They do huge damage, or they heal the entire party, or they give the party a massive buff, and it comes along with another buff. And for the amount of time, in real time, that the music is playing during combat, you get a buff.
Ah,
And if
Okay.
you manage to link another character's super to the previous one before it ends, before the song ends, which starts a different theme, the buff overlaps and continues, so it goes on longer. So you're incentivized to have everyone's supers kind of link up together, so you get them
Synergize.
synergize and kind of link into each other, flow into each other, so that at the last, so like you get a longer overlasting buff. It's a great concept, but the last boss encounter actually has everyone's theme, including the main video game's theme. Like it's got a really catchy theme. I'm pretty sure the main composer was Revo from Sound Horizon. They're a Japanese band. I don't know if Sound Horizon was actually part of the composition, like they were there recording the music in the studio, or if they just hired Revo, the composer for Sound Horizon. I don't know this. I get you guys, just go and research that yourselves, or we'll put a link in the description if we find the information. I don't know, but anyway,
Or an
Revo, he's a
editor's note.
genius.
Or an editor's note.
Or an editor's note.
Just anything. We will let you know.
It's on the screen
perhaps.
now.
No, it's
Maybe.
Maybe.
If you remember to do
We'll
it.
cut it. I'll remember to do it because I'll be fucking editing it. Anyway, but the final boss actually has all four of the characters' themes in like the huge swelling orchestral final boss metal music.
Really?
It's great.
Oh.
Because it's huge, it's heavy metal. Then you get because each character also has an instrument that goes along with their theme. I think it's like pan, flute, violin, saxophone, and
What a very interesting combination of instruments.
and accordion.
An accordion.
Accordion, yeah, it's great. And you actually hear each of the characters' theme. They flow into each other. It's fantastic. I love that game. The music is fantastic. I love Bravely Default. I can't wait to play the sequel. It's already out, but I have never bought it. Anyway, that was sidetracked by
Not
a
really.
lot.
No.
They missed out on that.
We could, if you want to, like just have this whole part of the section like be about video game music, because there is good other video game.
There is
Yeah.
fantastic
It's all
other video
music.
game music.
Yeah, it's all music.
If you guys want to talk about that before I talk about my little story, which
Yeah.
is literally just me talking about some
Your
of my
little story.
band experiences.
I feel like continuing to talk about the video game stuff for a bit and then capping it with your band experience is good for me.
Works for me.
So they didn't include the hurdy-gurdy?
They did not include the hurdy-gurdy. It might be somewhere in the Bravely Default soundtrack. I just haven't found. I just haven't found it. Each town also has its own thing. The Bravely Default soundtrack is just fantastic, and I've actually used it in some of our Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's got really nice ambient background noise.
What was it? There was whenever I think of video game, it's good to think of RuneScape.
Oh, RuneScape has some
RuneScape
pretty.
has some classics
Mhm.
because they've been around forever. 1999 actually is when they first came out. That's when they first came out, and they're still going. And of course,
You can get classic on the phone if you want to deal with mobile controls.
yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Hold on. Break from music. Mobile game controls suck. There's a few that are good. There's a few that manage to pull it off, but mostly they all suck.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're talking about like mobile game controls like that, or like Minecraft, where it's like you gotta move around or whatever, yeah, those are kind of annoying. But if you got other mobile games that are just like, tap,
Tap or
That's
swipe
whatever.
or
Tap
do
or
certain
swipe.
things. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's using the touchscreen. Trying to turn the touchscreen into a controller that
Oh, yeah.
overlaps the screen sucks.
oh yeah, no, I can't.
I realize
It
there's no way
does.
to do it for a lot of things, but
I'm curious about when they come out with the next Diablo game on
Oh,
mobile.
Diablo Immortal.
They shot themselves in the foot with
Oh
that.
my god!
But okay, speaking of Blizzard though, oh my god, their music is so good.
Yeah.
Blizzard's music, like World of Warcraft, has one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. Like, I remember starting up World of Warcraft when I was like in middle school, playing Wrath of the Lich King when I was way too young. Oh, the opening sound, like whenever you pull up that login screen and that, actually no, that might be Stormwind.
well, they gotta give you something to do when you're waiting for half an hour just to play.
I
Oh
mean,
my
yeah,
God,
they do.
yes.
They do. God.
It's fucking-
But still, the soundtrack is so good. I stopped playing in Cataclysm. I started playing in Wrath of the Lich King. I stopped playing in Cataclysm. I picked it back up a little bit in Legion because my brother actually lent me one of his account for a little bit. Played it a little bit. Played a Goblin Hunter for like all of 2 weeks, and then had to get back to work.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Apparently, they just launched WoW Classic yesterday.
They did. I saw that.
And-
They actually released it to a music video. Actually, I can't remember the name of it.
I also remember the queue for it was bigger than ever, like in a while, and now it took somebody like a long time just to log back into the or it was like 8 hours just to log back. That's how big the queue was.
I'm not surprised. There has been a huge call for them to bring back Classic WoW that I don't understand, to be completely honest. Because my father played Classic WoW and complained about it. Like, he loved it but hated it.
Well, it's the same thing when they brought back classic RuneScape. You know, there's always that following that's like we like the original version, or like the one they just came out with.
Just let me play the version with the party hats launched, and then.
But World of Warcraft's
Party
World of Warcraft Classics music was fantastic, but I don't understand the entire backlash behind Mist of Pandaria because that soundtrack is glorious and mystifying and like fulfills every theme that went along with Mist of Pandaria. Like, yeah, sure, it has pandas, but listen to that soundtrack. You are in someplace amazing.
You know what? Vampire.
Vampire
has,
also has a really good soundtrack.
I love the soundtrack from Vampire. They do it so well with that like Victorian age songs. Just that it's got this ominous tone to it, obviously. But it's like when you play the game, you're almost a little depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's a wonderful game to play. The story is depressing. Well, it's not depressing.
It's depressing.
It's like Victorian era.
The Victorian era, you're a vampire. You're trying to be not a vampire, and then all this shit happens, and it is kind of a depressing game, but not in like the standard sense. But like the music is just kind of sad and sullen and somber. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And it just. I don't know. There was one time I was driving home from work. I just like just popped on. I was like, boop, Vampire soundtrack. Let's listen to this.
What a way to hype yourself up after a long day of work.
Right.
Yeah, fucking. You know what made me sad? Euphoria, that show on HBO. Oh, it's so depressing. It's got some great bits in it though, for that kind of. I don't know. A lot of TV shows sometimes will have some good background musical pieces or movies and such. I lost my train of thought.
It's
I
okay.
can tell. You default to
actually-
TV.
Tim
Well,
actually brought
I was
up
going
a good
about
point
something.
earlier. The Assassin's Creed soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
I would say 2 was probably the best one.
What was that? It was. Yeah, it was Start of Ezio's.
Instrumentally, I have to agree. I haven't played much of it, like very little, but I have heard it. It's very pretty. Because I started on 3, and then for me, it's really hard to backtrack on games. Because I'm just like, I played this version, they smoothed out the controls, and then I go back and I'm like, I didn't want to do that, you bastard.
I know exactly. I know that pain. 100%.
I actually haven't played Black Flag yet. I know.
Black
shocker.
Flag's soundtrack is pretty damn good, but the highlight are the shanties. That's what I was getting at earlier. Like the shanties are the best thing ever. And the fact that you have to collect to get more is just a cool mechanic because it makes the music the mechanic, and I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got a lot of good favorite video game soundtracks. Probably the most recent one I really love was Cuphead.
Cuphead is so good.
It's
Oh
just
my
with the
God.
fact that you have the visuals that remind you of the 30s cartoons and the
Mm-hmm.
music from that same music that reminds you of that same time. It's just I've done the same thing. Like I want to listen to certain music. Like if I'll go on and find a certain song on there just because it's so vibrant and energetic, and I love it.
Everything about that game is amazing, but
It
that
is.
soundtrack is just it's phenomenal.
I could listen to that all day, every
I
day.
could too.
But I would say for me, the one that still holds to me dear to my heart is I just grew up with this game, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Like
Oh, yeah.
everything,
Oh yeah,
everything from specifically that game. Like probably my personal favorite
the
track.
trumpet intro. Like as soon as it pulls up the screen and you get the trumpet intros, those trumpets blasting out those notes. Oh, it's so good.
But I almost want to cry every time I listen to the Final Destination theme from that game because
Oh yes, yes.
it's really good.
Mhm.
I also have because I watch AVGN on a regular basis. I have a lot of appreciation for the 8-bit or 16-bit soundtracks too, like
Oh, yeah.
Castlevania and Mega Man 2. I really love.
The amount of stuff they were able to do with just what was it? How many notes were they able to do in the 32-bit? Because the 32-bit was more of a. So for those of you who don't know, back in the day, video games had to go up onto a lot less space than they did nowadays, and so that meant there was a lot less room for good soundtracks. So they invented this little chip that could make certain tones. With each generation of console, the chip got better and they could play more notes at the same time, which is why when you go back and listen to Super Mario Brothers, it only had a few notes, a few notes playing at the same time. And the reason why Duck Hunt, the dog would laugh and the music would cut out because they couldn't have the dog
Yeah.
laugh and the soundtrack playing at the same time. It's also why the music was, I don't even think they had music in the original Duck Hunt, they just had sound effects.
No, there was music.
There was music? Okay, I'm just crazy.
It was like I remember. It was when you're trying to shoot
Shoot
them.
the dog. Yeah, but the music stops when the dog starts laughing. And like that little chip would get better with each console generation. And so when you got to I think it was it the Nintendo 64 or was it the
Super
Was-
Nintendo.
I think it was the Super Nintendo. Yeah. The Super Nintendo had the was that the one with Final Fantasy 7?
Final Fantasy VII was PlayStation 1.
That was a PlayStation 1. I'm not thinking of the same thing because PlayStation 1 actually that was when the generation of consoles when you actually got to the Xbox and the PlayStation 1, they actually had they upgraded the chip and you actually got less it's why chiptune not chiptune. It's chiptune is a callback to those previous gens, but I forget the term they used.
8-bit?
No, it's like auto tuning because like you had the little chip could only make specific noises,
Yeah.
and when the PlayStation and the Xbox came out, you actually got like realistic sounds for the era. So you could actually do more with the sound,
Yeah.
which is why you had realistic sounds and laser sounds, and it all didn't sound like just little bleeps and blats.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially when it went to a disc-based thing.
Especially when it went to the disc and
Because you could store all sorts of stuff on a disc
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't on a cartridge.
You also mentioned when you mentioned Undertale earlier, it had me thinking about Earthbound's soundtrack.
Earthbound soundtrack was fantastic as well.
It's just I like hearing there's this theme that plays whenever you're facing like I think a Metal Man, and it's like really robotic and synth, and I love it.
Because it's completely different from the entire soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes you feel like you're fighting something alien, which they were.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when video game soundtracks will do that when you're fighting, when you're fighting specific enemies, they have a specific sound, like the Guardians from Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
It
Mhm.
always puts you so tension, like always get you really tense and be like, oh, I am in danger. Do you guys have any specific examples like that, like moments in video games where like the music told you that, oh, or just kind of remind you of a
It's
specific
it's
moment.
more of like that moment when you walk into a room, the music stops, there's a couple chests, and you're like, wait a second, something's gonna happen here.
Yeah, something's gonna happen. Or like I've been confused by glitchy soundtracks because Bethesda makes perfect games that have no glitches whatsoever.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I'll just be like next to some place, and then I'll just hear the Skyrim battle music start playing, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like what is going
what's
on?
here? There's not even a red blip on my compass.
I know,
Like
right?
2 seconds later, a skeever shows up, and I'm like, well, it wasn't you. Because I'm level 20. You're not gonna set off my music meter there, little skeever dude.
I think when I played Skyrim, I always did my best to go into combat without the battle music starting, because I think there's something.
If you do it fast enough, it won't.
I feel like it has a different effect on your mentality
Yeah.
when you take out someone and there's no battle music.
Or sometimes like the battle music won't start until you just kill the dragon. I'm like, where were you when I needed to be pumped up?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's a slaughterfish.
Oh, you
Can't fast travel when enemies nearby. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
slaughterfish.
The battle music will always play for Slaughterfish, and I'm like, I'm level 50. Why? But I do want to ask each of you to thank me for something.
No.
I could have spent my segment talking about K-pop, and I didn't.
Oh, thank the gods.
Thank you, Braska Prime. Lord
Thank
of
you,
Volcanoes.
Tim.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Tim.
Monster X is the best. Continue.
Lord of Volcanoes.
I mean, just really anything by Nintendo. Like, just,
They are notoriously good.
I mean,
at music.
Zelda and Mario just still hold up very well, and, Mario Odyssey especially.
I have not yet played Mario Odyssey, but I have played Mario Galaxy. And there was this one level in particular that I loved. It was the ice level when you first go to it, because the rest of the music is really happy and cheerful. When you go to the ice level, it's like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not there. It's kind of slow, methodic, kind of cold and calculated. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also another really interesting touch they did on Odyssey where there's, the gameplay sections where you go into the tube and turn into 8-bit Mario.
Yes.
So when you're just in the regular world just playing, when that music in that world is playing and you go into this tube, it changes into an 8-bit rendition of that music. It wasn't necessary, but it's a
It's
nice
an
little
extra
touch.
step. And you know what they had to do for that, probably? They probably had to layer their sounds so that, they probably did every soundtrack twice. At least for the levels that they had the 8-bit sections.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Because it's a seamless transition, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So they probably have both the soundtracks playing at the same time, just one's muted, and whenever you go through a pipe, it changes them. But that is really cool, though.
I loved it.
Isn't there also... There's a level in New Donk City where you're trying to find a band,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They do this on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as well, where you can collect the band members on the New Donk City stage, and it'll actually cause the soundtrack that you're listening to while you're fighting to add that instrument whenever you go back to the main stage. Like whenever you transition to the stage you first start on, the band will be there, and you'll actually hear a new rendition of the song
really?
with the instruments that you collected. So, say you get the saxophone and the trumpet guy, but you miss Pauline who's singing and the drums, then the soundtrack you're listening to will have trumpet and saxophone, but not those three.
Oh, okay.
But there's a level in New Donk City where something similar happens. The Smash Bros. Ultimate is a callback to that mission where you're supposed to get every musician to have Pauline's concert or something. But after you collect the musician, if you go back to that little area, they'll be practicing, and they'll have the music playing similar to the Smash Brothers stage, but you'll just hear the instrument and the soundtrack with the instruments that you found.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's great, and they like you said, Nintendo just goes, they do those extra steps, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It makes for a better game,
Absolutely.
even though some people won't even notice. There'll be that one person who does and be like,
They noticed it too.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, would like to say we are at 48 and a half minutes. So,
All right, so my band experience. So,
Cut.
yeah.
all right. So my band experience. Well, this has been Vibrant Stories
Stories,
podcast.
I actually saying that's a pretty good place to stop.
Yeah, we'll listen. We ignore Kyle anyway, so what's the point?
I am very enthusiastic about video game music, and I've more than talked enough. So, this
Okay.
has been Vibrant Story Studios,
Okay, well-
VSS.
Yeah, I guess catch a further episode of Kyle Ever Wants to Share His Band Stories.
We're just gonna ignore Kyle. We're gonna cut him off every time he wants
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, sure, why not? All right, so this has been a Vibrant Stories podcast, VSS. This has been Kyle.
This has been Tim.
This is your best friend Cooper.
And special guest William.
Well, I hope you had a blast
Around in the cardboard box.
around the
Yeah,
cardboard box.
Around the Cardboard Box. We'll see you next time. Please consider liking or subscribing or disliking. Anything
We
you
would
want
love
to
it
do.
if you did.
You could just ignore us, but don't.
Please consider getting a cardboard box.